Hi, my name is Benjamin Ganong. This is a Vinyasa practice. So during this practice, we're going to set an intention, and we are going to dedicate our practice to someone in our life who we feel needs a little extra boost. We're going to send them health, happiness, and freedom. And we're going to continue to come back to that intention throughout the class. As far as the physical aspect of the class goes, we will be building up into crow pose, so we're going to get our body nice and warm and loose before we come into that pose. And then we're going to wind down into a nice little shavasana at the end. Okay, here we go. Find your way into a sukhasana or an easy pose or cross-legged position. Bring your hands into Gyan Mudra, which is your pinky finger and your thumb together. Place them on your knees. And begin to think about someone in your life who you'd like to dedicate your practice to. Someone who you feel could use a little extra boost in their life. Once you figure out someone who you think needs that little extra boost, we're going to begin to send them health, happiness, and freedom. So throughout the entirety of our practice, we're going to try to keep with this intention. We're going to try to continuously think about sending health, happiness, and freedom to this person as we move through our physical asana. To begin the class, we're going to start off with a little bit of square or box breathing. I'd like you to begin with an inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for breath retention for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. And inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1, and inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Continue that timing in your own head and continue with that square breath breathing practice. And remind yourself of who that person is that you are dedicating your practice to. And send them health, happiness, and freedom. Go easy on your breath, light inhales and light exhales. There's no need to force anything here. We're just being gentle with ourselves. And when you are ready, we're going to come in to all fours on our mat. Hands firmly placed down underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. You can tuck the toes under or leave them flat down on the mat. Start rocking the shoulders over the fingertips or as far as feels good in your own body. We don't want to stress the wrists too much. We just want to get them nice and lubricated and get that synovial fluid all moving around within our wrists so that when we begin to put a lot of weight onto them, they're ready to take that weight and deal with it in a healthy way. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fan the fingers to the sides. And we're going to circle to the left for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and back to the right for 5, 4, 3. I can hear my knee snapping. 2, and 1. Fingers point back towards the knees, wrists face forward. Right here might be comfortable enough for you, or you might want to start rocking your sit bones back towards your heels for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sit back on your heels, interlace your fingers, roll out your wrists. Shake them out a little bit. Slowly and mindfully tilt your head to the right. Right here, you might feel a beauty stretch on the left side here, or if you want a bit more, you can grab on to the left side of your head with your right hand and gently pull down just a little bit more. Even the weight of the arm might be perfect. You might not even have to pull. Our neck is pretty vulnerable, so try to be kind with it. Roll your chin down to your chest and hold here for a few seconds. You might want to interlace your fingers behind your head and just rock your head from side to side gently. Roll your head to the left side so that your left ear is coming down towards your left shoulder. And grab the right side of your head with your left hand if that works for you. Remember, this is your practice. Oh, that's a nice stretch. And then again, roll your chin down towards your chest. You might want to rock it from side to side again to get any kinks out. Roll your shoulders back, roll them forward. Coming back into a tabletop. Point your tailbone up towards the sky, drop the belly down, reach the crown of your head up towards the ceiling, coming into a cow. Press down into your hands, protract through your shoulder blades, tuck your tailbone, bring your chin to your chest for a nice cat position. Inhale, coming up into cow, crown of your head towards the ceiling, as well as the tailbone. And exhale, coming back into cat. Inhale, back into cow. And exhale, coming back into a cat position. Inhale, reach your right arm up into the sky, opening up across the chest. And thread the arm behind the left arm. Drop the right shoulder down to the mat. And bring your head down to the mat. For thread the needle. You might want to shuffle your shoulder around a little bit and maybe move your left arm around just to get comfortable. You can also go for the bind if you like to do that, reaching your left arm around your back and grabbing for your right thigh. I prefer just to kind of relax the arm down and square my left shoulder off to the floor so that I'm getting a nicer stretch along the shoulder there. Inhale, reach the right arm up again and drop it back down to the mat. Reach the left arm up with a nice inhale, opening up across the chest. And exhale, thread the arm in behind the right arm, dropping the shoulder down to the mat. Same options on this side. You can bring a more intense stretch into the left shoulder by squaring the right shoulder down to the ground or by bringing it closer to the floor. Or you can go for the bind, wrapping the right arm around, grabbing for the left thigh. Plant the right hand down. Inhale, reaching the left hand up to the sky, dropping it back down into our tabletop. From here, we're going to squeeze our fingers into the mat. Tuck our toes. You might have to walk your knees back just a little bit. Tuck your toes, tuck your tailbone, contract your core, protract through the shoulder blades, lift the knees up off the mat, coming into a plank pose. We're going to hold plank here just for a second. Again, push out of the shoulders, squeeze the fingertips into the mat, externally wrap the upper arms, tuck the tailbone. You can kind of do what you want with your feet. You can allow your heels to rest towards the mat, or you can kind of come up on your tippy toes and allow your heels to move closer to the top of the mat.
I kind of like them settled back like this. Just getting warmed up through the shoulders and through the abdominal area. Press back into downward facing dog. Take a second to pedal out the feet. Perhaps you want to put the right heel down and lift up the left heel. And then bring the left heel down and reach the right heel up. And then kind of pedal it out at your own pace, getting a nice stretching through the calves. I like to move around a little bit in my downward dog. You know, I like to shrug my shoulders a little bit. I like to pedal out my feet. So move around intuitively and do whatever feels really good in your body. If you find you're coming forward a little bit, kind of into an ugly plank pose, bend your knees and press your chest back towards your big toes. Because really in this pose, we're trying to lengthen out through the back. And you're kind of doing a little bit more work than you really have to if you're coming forward kind of into an ugly plank pose. Once your hamstrings are all stretched out, you'll be able to straighten out your legs eventually. Come onto the blade side of the left foot, stretching out across the right side body. Roll onto the toes, coming onto the blade side of the right foot, stretching across the left side of the body. Coming back onto the toes. Slowly, like a wave, come forward into high plank and start shifting those shoulders over those fingertips again. Kind of more of an active way of warming up through the wrists once we've already done our initial wrist warm up. This puts a little bit more stress on them. 3, 2, 1. Drop the knees down, followed by the chin and the chest. Keep the elbows close into the torso. Press the toes down into the mat, lifting up the knees. Inhale, begin to peel the chest up off the mat, keeping the neck in alignment with your back. Again, tighten your elbows into your body. Press into the tops of those feet. Little to no weight into your hands. You can even start to lift them up if that feels good. A nice spinal strengthening exercise here. We got baby cobra. Exhale down. Press into the hands over the knees, back into a downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg up. Begin to bounce that leg. Just a little, like a minor bounce at first to open up through the left hamstring and the right hip a little bit perhaps. We're going to bounce it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the knee into the nose. Drop the foot in between the hands. Come up onto your fingertips, chest proud and faced forward. Wrap the shoulders back slightly and just start to dip in through the hips. We're going to come into a bounce in this nice low lunge here to open up through the hips in sort of a more active, dynamic way. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the back knee, untuck the toes. You might need to slide that knee back a little bit. Walk the right foot out, coming onto the blade side of the right foot if that feels right for you. Otherwise, you can just keep her down onto the mat. You can stay right up like this. It's a great hip opener. It's good old lizard pose. Or you can drop down onto your forearms. From your forearms, you can begin to press into the right thigh of the right leg. And you can even begin to rock it back and forth. And if you want to get a bit more, you can twist open, bring that left heel into your glute, grab on to the top of your foot with your right hand. Open up across the chest by pressing the left foot into the right hand. Or you can squeeze that heel in towards your butt to get a nice stretch across the quad. It's a bit intense for me just to hold it right in there, so usually I just dynamically kind of rock it back and forth. Release the foot down to the mat. Come up onto your hands. Drop your right foot down. Shimmy it in between your hands. Lift your back knee up and step back into downward facing dog. Lift your left foot up. We're going to begin a nice little bounce with that left leg up and down. Just little bounces at first. We're just really warming up the body here. 3, 2, 1. Bring your knee into the nose. Drop the foot down in between the hands. Coming into a low lunge, proud chest forward, bringing the shoulders back somewhat. Just begin to bounce the hips up and down. Just warming up into those hips. Oh, yes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop that back knee down, untuck the toes. Shimmy the left foot over to the left. Keep that foot planted or open up onto the blade side. Right here is a beautiful place to stay. If you want to come down onto your forearms, that's great too. You can stay here, you can twist open and press it onto the inside of your left thigh. If you want to twist open a bit more, and then if you want to bring your right heel into your butt, and then grab on to the top of the right foot, you can open up across the chest by pressing the right top foot into your left hand, or you can squeeze that heel in. Don't forget your breath. And slowly allow that right foot to drop down, not like a slingshot. Boom! That's a little bit too fast. Hands onto the inside of your left foot. Shimmy that foot inward. Plant the hands, step back into a downward facing dog. From here, we're going to come into a Surya Namaskar A, or Sun Salutation A. Come up on to the toes of your feet. Bend your knees, look up in between your hands, and just begin to tiptoe up in between the hands. Feet shoulder width distance apart. Allow the torso to hang forward. You can grab onto your elbows if that feels good. Allow your neck to completely relax downward. You can stay like this, or you can rock back and forth, bending one knee followed by the other. Just giving that spine a nice little rest, facing in a direction that it's not generally used to. Inhale, bringing your hands to your shins, straightening out the back, tucking the chin into the chest, contracting the core for a halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, reverse the swan dive, arms reach all the way up. Bringing the pinkies in towards one another. Palms touch each other and glide down into Samastiti, or heart center. From here, we're just going to close our eyes. Focus on our breathing. Nice deep inhales, intentional soft exhales. We're going to come back to our intention of sending that person in our life who perhaps needs a little extra boost in their life. Some happiness, some health, some freedom. And while you're being kind to them, also remember to be kind to yourself. Try to let go of expectations of yourself, of the teacher, of how this class is going to go, how you're going to feel in your body, and just allow it to unfold and to happen as it will. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Plant the hands down. Inhale, halfway lift. Step back your right foot followed by your left into high plank. Maintaining the integrity of that plank. Drop your knees followed by your chin and your chest down to the mat. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, down. over your knees, back into a downward facing dog. This time you can step, you can hop, you can handstand. However you want to get your feet in between your hands, that is your prerogative. But let's go. Inhale, halfway lift. Fold forward. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up, gliding the hands down into heart center. Pressing the palms into one another, bringing the palms in alignment with the elbows. Contracting the core downward, squeezing the glutes and the heels in towards one another. Inhale the arms all the way up. Swan dive all the way down, planting the hands. Step the left foot back, followed by the right. Coming down into a low push-up or chaturanga dandasana. Roll over your feet, coming up into upward facing dog. Wrap the heads of the shoulders back. You should only be on your hands and the tops of your feet. Squeeze your glutes together to protect that lower back. Exhale back into downward dog. At any time, you can take baby cobra instead of chaturanga. There's nothing that says that you have to follow what I'm doing. I'm simply a guide. Look up in between your hands. Travel there. Fold down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bring the torso into the legs, all the way up, reaching the fingertips up towards the ceiling of the sky. Hands glide down into heart center once again, finding the integrity and the strength of that position. Inhale the arms all the way up overhead. Swan dive all the way forward. You can step back into high plank, or if you're jumping back, jump directly into chaturanga, please, just to protect those joints and those sensitive areas of our body. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Moving into our sun bees. From here, we are going to look up in between our hands. Travel there any way you see fit. You can step there, you can tiptoe there, you can hop there, you can handstand up. From here, bend the knees, bring the big toes together an inch between the heels. Bring the arms backward and then glide them along the body, coming up into a chair pose. Thighs, big toes, squeeze together. Slight tuck of the tailbone, although we do want to keep the integrity of the spine. Biceps by the cheekbones. Externally rotate the upper arms, bringing the pinkies in towards one another. Inhale, extend the legs. Exhale, hands down into heart center. Inhale up. Exhale, fold forward. Plant the hands. Jump back into chaturanga. Upward dog. Downward dog. Inhale the right leg up. Bring the right knee into the nose. Drop it down in between the hands. From here, we're going to roll on to the blade side of both feet. Rolling on to the left foot and the right foot. Opening up through both hips. It's a bit of an awkward position. You might have to wiggle around a little bit. You might stay right here. You might press on the inside of the right thigh. It's kind of like a modified side plank, except you're on the blade side of the right foot, further up towards the top of your mat, opening up that hip. From here, we're gonna glide the right hand back, come up, meet the hands together, come back into Skandasana, where you might be up here. Depending on the mobility of your ankle, you might be up on the tiptoes of the left foot. You might be down flat-footed on your right foot. It depends. You got to kind of play around with Skandasana a little bit. It doesn't feel natural at first, at least it didn't for me. From here, plant the right hand down on the inside of the left foot, pivoting the feet to face towards the back of the mat. Reach the left hand up, coming into easy twist. Opening up across the chest again. From here, we're going to Lift up the left foot. Bypass side plank. Step back into Kamakarasana or dancer's pose, reaching out through the left fingertips, pressing into the tiptoes of the left foot, reaching the hips up towards the sky, pressing into that right hand, making sure to externally wrap the upper arm. Bring the knee into the chest. Step it up beside the right hand. You might need to walk that foot up, that's fine. Coming up into a crescent lunge. Straightening out the left leg, pivoting around to the front of the mat into crescent lunge. Dropping the hands down and then moving through your flow. You might handstand, you might come directly into chaturanga. Whatever feels right in your body. Now we're going to go through the left side with a little bit less cueing this time. Inhale the left leg up. Bring the knee into the nose. Drop the foot down. Coming onto the blade side of both feet. Again, kind of like a modified side plank, except your left foot's shifted further up the mat, so you open up through the hip. You can drop that hip down a little bit, play around. Be careful. Glide the left hand back, and then swipe it across the horizon, bringing the hands together, coming into Skandasana at the back of the mat. Plant the left hand down, swiveling the feet towards the back of the mat, reaching the right hand up into easy twist. Lift up that right foot, step it behind your left leg into Kamakarasana or dancer's pose or flip dog. Bring the right knee into the chest if you can, or you can walk it up. Step it up beside the left hand, coming into a crescent lunge. Straighten out the right leg. Coming into crescent lunge at the front of the mat. Plant the hands down. Move through your flow. Coming back into a downward facing dog. We're going to move through that sequence one more time. But first, we're going to do our warrior ones. Reach the right foot up. Bring the right foot up in between the hands. Drop that back foot down to a 45-degree angle. Try to square off your hips to the front of the mat. Reach the hands up overhead. Again, biceps by the cheekbones into a warrior one position. Without actually moving your feet, squeeze your feet towards one another to activate those inner thighs, just to create a bit more stability and strength into this pose rather than just dumping into it. Find an inhale. Exhale the hands down, step the right foot back, move through your flow, whatever that looks like. Inhale, the left foot back. Bring the knee into the nose, drop the foot down in between the hands. Back foot at a 45. Inhale, the arms sweep up. Bringing that isometric contraction between both of your feet without actually moving them or dragging them towards one another. Find an inhale. Exhale, the hands down. Sweep the left foot back. Coming into chaturanga. To up dog, back into downward facing dog. From here, inhale the right leg back, plant the foot up in between the hands, roll on to the blade side of both feet, glide your hand across the horizon, bringing it back forward, clap the hands together, dropping down into Skandasana on the left foot. Twist around to face the back of your mat, planting the right hand, reaching the left hand towards the ceiling. Lift up the left foot, drop it back behind the right, coming into dancer's pose. Coming into flip dog. Bring the left knee into your chest, glide that up forward, step it up beside your right hand, come into crescent lunge. Straighten the left leg, rotate into crescent lunge into the right leg, plant the hands, Move through your flow. And back into downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg back. Plant the left foot up in between the hands. Come onto the blade side of both feet. Bringing your left hand across the horizon. Bringing it back forward. Clap the hands together. Skandasana into the right leg. Plant the left hand down, swiveling the feet backward. Reaching the right hand up towards the sky into easy twist. Lift that right foot up. Come back into flip dog. Bring that right knee into your chest. Plant it up beside your left hand. Come up into crescent lunge. Straighten the right leg. Rotate all the way around the crescent lunge into the left. Plant the hands. Move through your flow. Back into downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg back. Step it up in between the hands. Drop that left foot down. Coming up into warrior one. Find an inhale. Drop your hands down. Sweep that right foot back. Move through your flow. Back into downward facing dog. Inhale the left foot back. Bring your left knee into your nose. Drop it down in between the hands. Back footer to 45. Warrior one. Hands down to the mat. Sweep the left foot back. Coming into chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Back into a downward facing dog. From here, step your feet up in between your hands. Drop your bum down to the mat. Roll onto your back. Squeeze your knees into your chest. From here, point the flat part of your feet up towards the ceiling as if you're going to step onto the ceiling. Bend your knees as if you're coming into a happy baby pose. And in fact, do just that. Grab the outsides of your feet, pull down as much as feels good in through your hips. You might want to rock back and forth, bringing those knees a little bit closer to the floor. You can also straighten out one leg, followed by the other. Maybe you want both straightened out. Just to get into those hips a little bit. From here, we're going to bring our elbows to the inside of our thighs. Now this is just kind of one way to do crow. I know this is obviously not crow, but it is crow on our back. So we're going to squeeze our inner thighs into our elbows as if we are in crow. And we're going to, so we squeeze our thighs into our elbows. We have our hands on a pretend surface, squeezing into our fingertips. We're contracting our core to maintain stability in this pose. And then for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, release. Happy baby. We'll do that one more time. Just so that you can get kind of an idea of where we're going. There's a few different ways to do crow pose. This is kind of just one way of squeezing your thighs into your upper arms. But either way, it's a good way to warm up the hips and to get the core going and to give you an idea of where you're going to be once you're in crow pose. So, from here, bring your upper arms to the inside of your thighs. Squeeze your thighs into your upper arms. Bring your big toes together. Hands are on a pretend surface, squeezing into that surface. Contract the core. For 5, don't forget to breathe. 4, I should take that advice. 3, 2, 1. Squeeze those feet into your into your armpits. Now, if you can, roll up, plant your feet, plant your hands, step back into downward dog. Otherwise, find downward dog in any way you see fit. From here, we're going to inhale our right leg back, keeping our left heel planted so that we feel that nice, well, potentially feel that nice hamstring stretch. Keep your hips square to the floor. Bring the knee into the nose. Drop the foot down in between the hands. Roll on to the outsides, to the blade side of your feet. Potentially dropping that left hip a little bit closer to the floor. Pressing into that left hand. Gliding your right arm across the horizon line. Bring it back forward. Clap the hands together, rotating the feet. Sinking back into our left leg into Skandasana. Plant the right hand down, coming into an easy twist. From here, lifting up that left foot, coming back into flip dog. Bringing our hips up closer to the ceiling, pressing into that right hand. From here, bring your left knee into your chest or walk it up beside your right hand. From here, we're going to come into crescent lunge. From crescent lunge, guide the palms together down into heart center. Bring your right elbow to your left thigh for a nice twist, open. Using your abdominal muscles to help rotate your torso open towards the right side of the mat, I guess. Since we're facing the back, that's kind of confusing. Coming back, hands to heart center, into a crescent lunge, straightening out through that left leg, and then rotating the big toes to face towards the left side of the mat. From here, we're going to bring our hands to our hips. We're going to find a nice inhale. Exhale, folding all the way forward. From here, you can bring your hands down to the mat. Perhaps you want to bend one knee and the other. There's a lot of different things to do in this forward fold. You can come into headstands, you come into a handstand if that's part of your practice. You can come into the middle splits, just kind of shimmying your feet outward. If that feels right for you, grab onto the back of the ankles and pull yourself in as much as feels good. Give you a few more breaths just to play around with whatever you're playing around with. From here, we're going to bring our hands back down to the ground. Press into the fingertips, coming into a halfway lift. Contract the core, hands to your hips. Come all the way up. Point your right foot forward, leaving your back foot to be parallel with the back of your mat, bending into the right leg, coming into a warrior two. Slight tuck of the tailbone, open up the right knee towards the right side wall. Look down, make sure you can see your front big toe, knee over the ankle. Relax the shoulders, reach out through the fingertips. Kind of sink into this pose. We're going to be here for a few breaths. Find an inhale. From here, kind of like a guitar strum, we're going to rotate our left arm down. We're coming onto the tippy toes or the balls of our left foot, coming back into a crescent lunge. From here, however you want to get there, we're going to step forward into a chair, and then we're going to begin to shimmy our feet outwards, dropping our hips downward, coming into a malasana or a low squat. Pressing our elbows into the insides of our thighs. Keeping the integrity of the spine. From here, we're going to come into our crow pose or bakasana. Drop your hands down to the mat about shoulder width distance apart. Straighten out your legs, bringing your sit bones up towards the sky. Shimmy your feet into, about shoulder width distance apart. That's about 2 fists if you're wondering the measurements. 2 fists between your big toes. Plant your hands down. I like to come up onto the tippy toes of my feet, drop my hips down, splaying my knees outward so I can bring the knee, the inner part of the knee to the upper arm, where you kind of have that ledge there where the tricep, top of the tricep is. Begin to lean forward, squeezing your elbows in towards one another, contracting the chest and igniting that strength. Begin to lean forward a bit more. Maybe you want to lift one foot up, followed by the other, squeezing those knees in towards the upper arms. And then you bring your heels up into your chest. Drop your feet down. Come back into Malasana for a moment. Straighten out through the legs. From here, step back into your downward facing dog. And find your breath. And as you find your breath, bring your mind back to what your intention is. Back to what your intention is for this class. Who are you dedicating your practice to? Keep them in your mind's eye. Send them health, happiness, and freedom. From here, inhale the left leg up. Bring the left knee in towards the nose, dropping it in between the hands. From here, we're going to rotate onto the blade sides of our feet, gliding our left hand across the horizon line, back forward, clapping the hands together, coming into Skandasana, into the right leg. From here, plant the left hand down, coming into an easy twist, reaching the right hand up towards the sky. Lift up the right foot, bring it behind you, lifting up the hips towards the ceiling, chest faces the ceiling, reaching out with the right hand. Bringing the knee into your chest, dropping that foot down beside your left hand, however you want to get there. And from here, we're going to come up and place that left elbow onto your right thigh and twist open in the direction of your right leg, I suppose. You can keep that back knee bent, or for a bit more stability, you might want to straighten it out, pressing into the tippy toes of the foot. Again, use the torso to help yourself twist open just a bit more. Hands back into center, coming back into a crescent lunge. Straighten out that right leg, pivoting the feet towards the right side of your mat. From here, hands down onto your hips. Find an inhale, fold forward halfways. Find another inhale, and exhale forward, bringing your hands down to the mat. And there's nothing that says you have to do the same thing on this side that you did the other side. Maybe I like to switch it up a bit, keep things interesting. Rotate in through the hips, rock them back and forth here. Bounce them up and down if you want. There's splits, headstands, handstands. Maybe you just hang out here. There's no pressure to do anything. Do as you will. Grab onto the back of your heels. Pull your chest in between your outstretched legs. Maintain your breath. Bring your mind to your intention. You are here. That is life, that is truth, and that is all. There's nothing else but this moment, as cliche as that is. It is the truth. Allow your breath to bring you right here. Inhale, find a halfway lift. And exhale all the way up forward. From here, point your left foot towards the top of your mat, keeping your back foot parallel with the back of the mat. Bend into your left leg, Bringing your knee over your ankle. Reach your arms out parallel with the floor. Relax the shoulders. Reach out through the fingertips. Bring your left knee towards the left side of the room. Sink into it. Just like in Warrior One, pretend you're dragging your feet towards each other to instill more strength in this pose. Doesn't matter what pose you're in. You can always make it the hardest pose of the day depending on how much integrity, how much strength, how much activation you want to bring to that pose. A couple more breaths. Find a nice deep inhale. Exhale. We are going to slowly strum our right hand down. Come on to the balls of our right foot. Coming into crescent lunge, facing the front of our mat. However you want to get there, you're going to step your right foot up, coming into chair pose, and then starting to shimmy out your feet and dropping your hips down, coming into a low squat or Vinyasa. Yes, we get to come into the crow again. Woohoo! Celebrate good times, come on! Whoa. Hands down to the mat, shoulder width distance apart. Shimmy your feet in, about hip width distance apart. Come up onto the tiptoes, drop the hips back down towards the sit bones. Knees splay outward. Begin to bring your elbows in towards one another. Don't worry, they won't come all the way. Keep just in order to activate the strength of your chest. Lift up your sit bones a bit, bringing those knees into those upper pockets by the in between the tricep and the shoulder. Lift up one foot, and then the next, again squeezing those elbows in towards one another, bringing the heels into the sit bones. And then when you're ready, you can drop back down, shimmy your feet out, coming into Vinyasa again. Find a big inhale. Exhale, straighten out the legs, sit bone towards the sky. Bring your feet back in, shoulder width distance, hang low. Bend your right knee, plant your right hand, reach your left arm up into the sky for a nice twist. Plant your left hand down, bend your left knee, reach your right arm up for another nice twist. And then bring both hands down. Move through your flow, however you want to get into that. Leading back into downward facing dog. And breathe. Again, coming back to the breath, coming back to the intention. No words, just breath. No stories, just truth. Step your feet up in between your hands. Drop your bum down to the mat. Lengthen your feet out in front of you. Flexing toes back towards the face. Straighten out or lengthen out through the spine. Inhale the arms up. Fold forward, keeping the spine straight. Don't bend forward yet. You can grab onto your feet, grab onto any part of your legs. There's no wrong way to do this unless it hurts. Don't want any pain. Start by bringing your forearms down to the mat. And then if you can't do that, just kind of remain up like this for a little bit. And then just kind of passively fold forward. Slowly bring your torso back to an erect position. Keeping your left leg straight, step your right foot to the outside of the left thigh. You can stay right here. This is a perfect position. Or if you can keep both sit bones down onto the mat, you can curl that left foot in towards your right glute muscle. Plant your right hand back, which is going to be responsible for stability and keeping your spine straight. Reach your left hand up, bring your elbow to your right thigh, and on the exhales, twist open. Here, bring your shoulders back to being square to the front of the mat. You might want to do a little bit of a counter twist quickly and switch to opposites. So extend your right leg out, step your left foot over to the other outside of your right thigh, curl that right heel into your left glute, shuffle around a bit so you can get both sit bones to the ground. Left hand to the back of the mat for stability and integrity. Reach the right arm up. Bring the right elbow to the right or left thigh. And on your exhales, begin to twist open. Twist around back to the front, little counter twist to the right. Extend your legs out to either corner of your mat, slowly curling downward, bringing the knees into the chest, rolling out that lower back a little bit. You might want to come into happy baby, whatever you need to balance out your practice to allow your body to come back to a place of equanimity, then do so. Again, this is your practice. And when you're ready, bring your feet out to the corners of your mat, arms lie beside your body, and allow yourself to come in to your Shavasana. As you get settled into your mat, allow for any last movements, just anything that's going to allow you to give yourself permission just to completely let go and to melt into the floor, melt into your mat, and to allow the mat and the floor to be cradling you and supporting you. From here, once you've found that comfortable, perfect position, bring kindness to your mind, understanding, compassion to who you are and to what you go through as a human. Be soft with yourself. And then from that place of softness, of kindness, of love, begin to think about that person that you are dedicating this practice to. With each exhale, think about sending them health, happiness, and freedom. Picture that energy and that intention leaving your body, traveling, and then moving into that person. For I genuinely believe that we are so much better off when we are giving to other people. And not giving from a place of expecting something in return, or from a place of bitterness and hate.
but rather giving from a place of understanding that when we do give, we will get it back, but not always in the way that we might think. And I think that it's so important to have, or to instill in yourself, or to work on the right mindset when you are giving, just so that you don't come back to a place of bitterness. Because we're not always going to get back what we think we deserve. We're not always going to be met with the same kindness and compassion that we offer others. But as Mother Teresa often says, do your best, offer kindness, give to others. And even though it might not be, or it might not end up in the way that we hoped it would, do what you can anyways. Because from that place, you're going to be so much more happy than just being self-centered and focusing on yourself all the time, because from that only comes sickness. So allow a vibration of love to come over your body, whatever that looks like for you. Allow yourself to see yourself from an objective point of view, to understand that you are love. And then from there, you can give love. For this last few moments, I'd just like you to allow silence to wash over you. The silence behind silence, the silence that you give yourself. Because we can't always have it in the external world. Give yourself permission to feel peace, despite whatever is going on outside of this room. Give yourself permission to feel that which you gave the person whom you set an intention to give. Give yourself permission to be human. I'm so grateful that you spent the time and the energy to come to my class. I'm so happy to be the guide for your practice and to watch you all flourish in such a wonderful way. Hands to heart center. Hands up to your third eye chakra. May the love and light in me honor and love the love and light in you. Namaste.